الثانية بأعلى أصواتكم. على حب أهل البيت ثالثة بأعلى أصواتكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، نحمده ونستعينه ونشكره ونستغفره ونتوب إليه. سيئات أعمالنا، ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على حبيب إله العالمين الذي بعث رحمة للعالمين، سيد الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين. اللهم صل على. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to start by offering my own congratulation, heartfelt congratulations, anniversary of Mab'ath, proclamation of the Holy Prophet, prophethood. And at the same time that we are celebrating, one cannot help remembering those who lost their lives. The latest or recent earthquake in Turkey and Syria and northern Iran and a few other places. It is indeed a miracle that after 11 days or 12 days, people are still pulled under the rubble and still alive. So please join me in reciting Surah Al-Fatiha for the soul of those who have lost their lives, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant living with patience. The historical event of Mab'ath, one of those issues that are debated between the Sunni brothers and sisters. And there are minor differences of opinion as to exactly when is Mab'ath. According to the Shia understanding, relying on a hadith from Faith, 27th of Rajab is considered to be the anniversary of Mab'ath. Our Sunni brothers and sisters citing that at the time of proclamation of the Holy Prophet and Mab'ath, the first 5 verses of Surah Al-Alaq was revealed. So according to number of verses, etc., that it must have been the month of Ramadan. While we say it's 27th Rajab, they claim it's around the end of Ramadan. Inshallah, if there is an opportunity during the month of Ramadan when we discuss revelation of the Holy Quran, we can address this minor misconception with regard to that it is not necessarily while the Quran was revealed during the month of Ramadan, but not necessarily a series of revelation. That's something that we talk about. Mab'ath and the proclamation of the Holy Prophet is a unique event that never repeated in the past and will never be repeated. It is an event that sets into motion the dawn of a new civilization for human beings. Under initially the auspices of the Holy Prophet himself, and it was intended that if his commands were adhered to and listened to, this civilization would continue. Unfortunately, it wasn't. We believe that the proclamation of the Holy Prophet was the intended purpose of the creation. If it wasn't, and even now, a few minutes ago, when you listen to Hadith Kasa, when Jibreel comes down, according to the Hadith, says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if it wasn't for you, Ahlul Bayt, nothing, no sama, no earth, no sky, no cosmos, nothing would have been created. So the notion that the Holy Prophet and the proclamation of the Holy Prophet is the ultimate goal of the creation, we can prove it by looking at a hadith. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam to cross the Nile and split the water, there was a purpose. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted Prophet Isa the power of miracles to deal with the disease, the leopard, and give life to the dead, there was a purpose for it. And Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Nuh, and others, ultimately, they were the staging ground for the coming of the Holy Prophet of Islam and the Mab'ath and the proclamation. It's a unique event. Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi in Nahj al-Balagha, in a number of sermons, addresses this uniqueness of before and after, make a comparison. Before the proclamation and the ba'ath of the Holy Prophet, what was the world order looked like? And after the proclamation, what happened? Is one, Inna Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ba'atha Muhammadan Rasulullah لإنجاز عدته وتمام نبوته وأهل الأرض يومئذ ملل متفرقة وأهواء منتشرة وطوائف متشتتة. At the time, it was a timely arranged. At the time that crisis, chaos, and everything else was controlling and dictating the world, people were dispersed. There was no unity. Relationship was severed, and disorder controlled everything. At that particular moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends the Holy Prophet. For what purpose? To bring people back together and unify them under his leadership. Gradually, that's a new civilization that we are talking about. Sometimes Amir al-Mu'mineen directs the speech and cites not on a global level, as it happened in here, وَأَهْلُ الْأَرْضِ يَوْمَئِذٍ. He reminds the Arab at the time, إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَعَثَ مُحَمَّدًا وَأَنْتُمْ مَعْشَرُ الْعَرَبِ عَلَى شَرِّ دِينٍ. And you, the Arab society, this is Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says to his own people, على شر دين وفي شر دار. Your living condition was despicable, and your deen and your faith was filthy. تسفكون دماءكم. Constantly you shed your own blood. وتقطعون أرحامكم. Notion of صلة الرحم didn't exist. والأصنام فيكم منصوبة والآثام بكم معصوم. Your best that you could do is your idols. Your idols are the one that clearly existed. So both in the context of global and in the context of the local. Amir al-Mu'mineen is talking about how the life and this condition, the living condition, the socio-economic condition was untenable. And he makes a comparison between before and after. Reminds the Arab of Arabian Peninsula, just look at your life. Two civilizations, the Persian civilization and the Roman civilization, to the north and to the east. They were trying to, even there was another civilization to the south. They were trying to give you a degree of knowledge and organization in your life, but you were not ready for it. How comes, what is it that within a short period of time, as Quran says, إِنَّ الْأَعْرَابَ أَشَدُّ كُفْرًا وَنِفَاقًا, such a society is transformed in the flag bearers of civilization to move forward? Within a short period of time, Persian Empire fell, the Roman Empire fell. Within 50 years, the Muslims were all over the world, North Africa and beyond. What was in this message that we missed to understand? So naturally, because the Holy Prophet was the key factor, the key component in the message, in delivering the message, the first thing that we really need to understand, if we want to understand the heart of Islam, we have to understand the character, the true character of the Holy Prophet. Because the Holy Prophet embodies the embodiment of the essence of Quran. If Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi in the Battle of Siffin, when the Qurans are put on the top of this spear, and Imam says, these are only pieces of paper, anal Quran al-Natiq, then the Holy Prophet is the one. Now we have to understand the character of the Holy Prophet. And as soon as we want to find out who this unique individual was, we are faced with a challenge. There is a character or an image that Quran portrays, and there is another character in some hadith books such as Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and the rest. If we look at the image that Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim and few others are presenting, is a distorted image painted by falsified ahadith to demean the Holy Prophet, bring him down, so that Muawiyah, Yazid, and everybody else can claim easily to become representative of the Holy Prophet. And by the way, I'm not the one who's saying this. Now, historical documents are available. The Hakim of Sharjah, last week or the week before, delivered a lecture to a number of his entourage and pointed out this point. The moment that ahadith were falsified and fabricated, truth was lost. He was saying about Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salam. But how can you try to present to the rest of the world a character as the main key factor in the study of Islam or presentation of Islam? Go and look, I just picked up few of the ahadith. A man that publicly puts his young wife on his shoulder and attend musical gathering in the mosque. And al-Mu'mineen Aisha, Sahih Bukhari. That we heard, me and the Holy Prophet were sitting down in our house, and we heard musical instrument being played. So the Holy Prophet picked me up and put me on his shoulder and went to the mosque to watch the music and listen to it. Very romantic. Or a man that urinates in public. Another hadith. Urinates in public and doesn't wash. And Omar holds, you see, a fabrication. You demean the value of the Prophet, you elevate some of these characters. And Omar holds the ibriq, and the Holy Prophet asks him, what is this? He said, well, for you to do ablution and wash yourself after urination. He said, God didn't send me to wash myself after every time I urinate. This is the Prophet. A man that sticks his feet out during the prayer from the mihrab one feet, the left feet, sticks it out because it was najis and he doesn't want it to do the prayer with the feet which is najis. And the list goes on and on and on. And many, many other shameful practices. No wonder the rest of the world are insulting the Holy Prophet and creating these images. Because when you go back to these sources that are readily available to the scholars, what do you see? This is not the image that Quran. Sometimes I think that Umar said, Hasbuna kitabullah, inna rajula la yahjur. When at the end of the life of the Holy Prophet, when he asked for a book, a paper and a pen so he could write down his wasiyah, Umar said, Inna rajula la yahjur. Hasbuna kitabullah. Why is it then, if kitabullah is the source, we don't go to kitabullah to see how kitabullah is portraying the image of the Holy Prophet, and we rely on these fabricated ahadith? But if we go to the book, contrast that image that is constructed in ahadith, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim and others, with the image that that Quran presents. Quran understands that this unique individual is a charismatic leader, shouldered with the responsibility of being the seal of the prophethood, given the universal message until the end of time. He must have certain characteristics. And few of them are listed in the verse, many verses in the Holy Quran. Number one, فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. O Prophet, perhaps you are going to kill yourself after them out of grief if they do not believe in this message. Absolute zeal and sympathy with those whom he was given responsibility to guide. وَلَا تَحْزَنْ عَلَيْهِمْ. Don't feel upset, because don't grieve yourself if they don't listen to you. Second one, khulq, akhlaq, etiquette, how to deal with people. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Go to the Holy Quran. I believe there are 7 times when the word azim as a word used to describe something, and one of them is the khulq and akhlaq of the Holy Prophet. Extreme patient. فَاصْبِرْ كَمَا صَبَرَ أُولُو الْعَزْمِ مِنَ الرُّسُلِ. Patience. There is a hadith from the Holy Prophet, مَا عَانَى نَبِيٌّ مِثْلِي قَطْ. No prophet, 124,000 of them came before me, or -1. None of them suffered the way I did. And yet, his patience on one side. Fath Makkah. The army of the Holy Prophet walks into Mecca. Abu Sufyan and the rest are surprised by the might of the Holy Prophet. They're all frightful that after giving him trouble that long and causing problem, this is the time of revenge. So the Holy Prophet says, Ayyuhan nas, what are you thinking about? They all understand that it's a moment of victory. Say, we expect nothing more than a compassionate and merciful treatment from the son of our own tribe and family. Idhabu, go. You are free. And Zainab Salamullah alayha, when he confronted Yazid in Sham, reminded him that you are the son of somebody that my grandfather freed you. Otherwise, he had every right, according to the laws of Islam, to take you capture as prisoners of war and distribute you between the rest of the world. And Abu Sufyan would have been a slave and Muawiyah would have been a slave than everybody else. So, fasbir kama sabr, sabr and patience. These are characteristics of leadership. They are none within the images that we see in few akhbar. وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ, nightly prayers. These are part of his characteristics, which we're supposed to learn during the month of Rajab and practice. Extensive and limitless knowledge. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullah salam alayhi says, nobody had knowledge of the ma kan wa ma yakun as much as the Holy Prophet, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him everything. The source of mercy for people, Shafi'a. بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. The believers, he was compassionate, very kind and very merciful. He is chosen and given the most exalted as a bashar. On the one hand, repeatedly verses in the Holy Quran says that we have sent you among yourself somebody, bashar, human being like yourself, but unique, exalted one, in response to the Christian understanding. He is a moral man, not divine, but God's most perfect creation, al-insan al-kamil. This is the image that we have to present to the rest of the world. When the impartial people look at these images, no wonder they choose the Holy Prophet as the one top of the list of the 100 most effective leaders in the world, in history of humanity. The most successful, because they make a comparison between what the Arabs or the Jahiliyyah people lived and what happened after, within a short period. You have taken the worst group of people and turned them around into the most civilized and most exalted. Within a short period of time, Muslim philosophers that were excelling everything, Muslim mystics that were excelling, Muslim scholars that were going around and giving lectures and so on to the rest of the world. You made it from this group of people that Quran says, Inna al-A'rab ashaddu kufran wa nifaq. Turn them around. It's a unique ability to be able to take the worst of the worst as your audience and transform them and turn them around into the best. So we need to know, how did he do it? Why? Because if going back to the hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi that says, وَأَهْلُ الْأَرْضِ يَوْمَئِذٍ مِلَلٌ مُتَفَرِّقَةٌ, we have gone around and we have reached the same point that again the world is in disarray and in disorder and crisis and chaos, in need of a holy prophet like Muhammad, or at least his true understanding of his message. In 1492, those of you who might have studied a little bit about Muslim influence in Spain or Andalusia, in 1492, the last of the Muslims were kicked out of Spain. The West, Christianity, assumed that from then on, the slippery slope for Islam has happened, and gradually, with globalization and secularization and everything else, Islam is sealed, buried once and for all. Now we have reached a point. Despite material advance, the West has reached a point where it spiritually, ethically, and morally corrupt. Who's supposed? We are the Muslims here, and we are supposed to provide an alternative solution for it. We need to guide them. It's our responsibility. The essence of the Holy Prophet's leadership was to inform and reform. inform, educate, and reform them. Now it's our responsibility to inform the society that we're in and reform them. If yes, materialistically they are advanced. You can go to Mars or Moon or anywhere else, but spiritually corrupt, ethically and morally empty. Material is not going to substitute for enrichment of the soul. You could have all the wealth that in the world that you have, but in your heart, it's empty. That's the time that we have to come in and provide the answer. How? If we have no understanding, we don't understand the Holy Prophet and the methodology and the characteristics and the ways and the strategy that he used to propagate Islam. The only way we can do it, if we consider the Holy Prophet vis-a-vis Islam, he embodied the message. He practiced it to the best. The image, he was the image of Islam. We have to ask ourselves, are we close to that? UNESCO says that the Holy Prophet is Islam is despite everything that is happening around the world, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. What can we do to make it even better by providing the best, at least alternative solution to the moral corruption that's around us? A few days ago, a friend of mine sent me a clip, Ayatollah Khamenei talking to about a few hundreds of girls at the age of 8, 9, where they are now reached the age of puberty or at least bulugh, and they are all wearing white clothing and so on, to teach them about this transition into adulthood and responsibility and spirituality and God and everything. And then he said, Mulana, compare this to what 7, 8, 9 years old in our schools go through, waving the multicolor flag. Society is corrupt, dysfunctional, war after war after war after war. Chaos. We saw this on the one hand, Ukrainian, and on the other hand, Palestinian. On one hand, Turkey, on the other hand, Syria. The double standard that exists. United States didn't even send a penny to Syria for nearly 8 days. It was when the world began to ask, why not? That during this humanitarian crisis we should ignore politics, that suddenly a little bit of movement. While the world is sending arm after arm after arm to Ukrainians, Palestinians are being killed left, right, and center. Humanity is dead. So how can we as Muslims, taking the message from the Holy Prophet of inform and reform, and move forward to provide them with the solution? Islam is the only answer, but if we understand the Holy Prophet and true Islam, not the image that comes out of Sahih Bukhari and others. Go and read these ahadith in Sahih Bukhari and you understand what I'm talking. Our children are at risk. Teenagers don't have any clue about their role within the society. The first time that they go to school, they come back with doubt about the whole paradigm of Islam. It's tough responsibility. We really need to go back to the basic, understand who the Holy Prophet is, what strategy he used, the characteristics of akhlaq, sabr, sa'at al-sadr, and so on and so forth. What Islam is talking about, trying to unify the community together, unify the society together. Only then we will be able to reform the society. And then we can say, well, Islam started from the East. Now it starts from the West. Why? Because we become active. If we don't do it, then East, West, South, North, it's not going to make much difference. May Allah help us in this endeavor that we are facing. وَأَهْلُ الْأَرْضِ يَوْمَئِذٍ مِلَلٌ مُتَفَرِّقٌ. The entire world is in crisis. What is our role and responsibility in this society? This is the critical issue, that it's not purely materialistic. We are endowed with the spirituality of Islam, ethics and morality, and this is what we need to teach the rest of society. And the start is from our own home. May Allah help us in this regard, and inshallah we will be able to see the day where we as Muslims living in the West take the initiative and move forward, and inshallah make a difference within this society that we live in. If not for their sake, for our own sake and the sake of our children. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.